Yo, what's going on there? Everyone? It's your boy Scrimmage here, and today we're gonna be watching YouTube's Darkest Video 7. Well, let's get right into it. Enough is enough, and yeah, let's pop up in this bitch. Topic to include S
It's
Merge
December 4th,
and
2003.
other.
I'm gonna go try to get them to stop doing that.
A police officer walking in a local park in Arlington, Virginia, is approached by a concerned family, claiming that someone in a nearby neighborhood had been shooting off a flare gun. The officer could hear it too, and following the sound, he eventually found himself at the home of 56-year-old James Yu. The man lived alone in his half of this duplex, and was described by neighbors as a recluse known to exhibit unusual behavior. Across his social media, he made posts claiming that he was the victim of fraud at the behavior. Across his social media, he made posts
James W. The Witch in the Wayne County Supreme Court, State of New York, one motion hearing held at beginning. Zero progress, zero scheduling of a conference or discovery dismissed months later. Attached amended complaint, one of two.
claiming that he was the victim of fraud at the hands of all sorts of government agencies,
That's
as he
us.
had a deep distrust of the US government as well as law enforcement, and he believed that numerous people were attempting to kill him, like his ex-wife, the FBI, and even his neighbors. His posts seemed entirely nonsensical, and so did many of his actions. In the months prior, he had covered up all of his windows with garbage bags and aluminum foil, and he even wrapped his trees in toilet paper. And though these actions are entirely harmless, on this day, things were becoming
If you saw that, bless you in the comments below.
far more troubling. When police arrived at his home, you would be seen firing his flare gun out of his window and into the air, over and over again, and despite repeated attempts to get him to stop,
Arlington County Police! Stop shooting the flares! Mr. Yu!
he didn't let up, shooting 41 flares in the span of just 25 minutes. And he did it all with no explanation. In fact, he didn't even say a single word. Understandably, police were eager to get Yu out of his home for questioning, as at
That's
this point it wasn't
fucking
obvious whether or not he was a threat. And so for hours and hours they called out to him.
Can't you use those if like you're fucking stranded, right? And you see like a helicopter and shit? You use that, right? Or am I fucking or am I moronic? I was about to say some other shit.
First asking and then demanding that he exit his home.
James, Arlington Police, come to the front door with your hands up. Do it now. We have your building surrounded.
But still, there was no response. Growing impatient and worried that Yu might be planning something, the police would eventually bring in a specialized vehicle to bust down the door and spray the inside of the home with gas, all in an attempt to draw Yu outside.
James, stay away from your front door. Stay away from your front door, James.
And in response, Yu began firing once again.
You know what's crazy? I've never seen those in action, like at all.
Only this
I've only
time,
seen them in like
He wasn't
movies.
using flares. And instead, he was now yielding an actual gun. Thankfully, none of these shots connected, but with the situation becoming increasingly dangerous, the officers decided to fall back, as they carefully came up with a new plan for apprehending Yu, though whatever they had been planning would never come to fruition.
Did he kick? Did he KMS?
Yeah.
I should say KHS. 'Cause himself, he probably shot himself.
In a split second, the home was gone, as a massive explosion rang out from inside the house, reducing the entire structure to rubble. Inside the house, Yu had stored 55 gallons of gasoline in his basement, which he saved for that moment to ignite with no warning and no explanation. Based on the footage, it's been theorized that Yu's actions were an attempt to lure police into his home so that he could then set off this explosion and take them all out along with his neighbors, as he genuinely believed that both parties were conspiring to kill him. Though somehow, when the smoke cleared, no civilians or police officers had so much as been injured. All that was found in the rubble was the remnants of a single body. Though for a moment, this wasn't the end of James Yu's story. Before that body could be identified, reports across social media began emerging showing that James Yu was somehow still alive. After the blast, comments were being made on what appeared to be Yu's YouTube channel, where he stated that this whole thing was a cover-up and that
Everybody
he
is
wasn't even
witnessing them. They attempting to silence and crush me. Their attempts to trick via reverse psychology through, for example, media headlines is pathetic. They do this to anyone who's worked for
inside the
them.
home when the standoff started, which looking back, we never actually see him, and we also never hear his voice. Numerous posts pointing out this development would go viral and cause mass confusion about the story, which was only heightened when it was revealed that the body inside that building was in fact James Yu. Though in the end, it wasn't really as mysterious as some originally thought. As it turns out, the post showing these comments failed to realize that this wasn't actually Yu's account, and instead it had a completely different username, with the account likely having been created as nothing more than a hoax. To this day though, there are some that still believe that this was all some sort of massive cover-up, but in reality it just seems that this was the result of a man gripped by crippling paranoia and loneliness, with it all coming to a head in what has gone on to become one of YouTube's darkest videos.
That's fucking scary, dude. That's scary as hell, dude. What the hell?
The internet is a dark and disturbing frontier. This year alone, countless people have fallen victim to high-profile data breaches, raising serious concern about personal information and
Shut the fuck up with all that. I just want the juice, the sauce. I don't care about none of that.
there was really
gaga
nothing else
shit.
like it. This obscure 27,000 square foot structure allowed visitors to enter into what must have felt like another dimension. It was an exhibit called Dream Space, and was the creation of British artist Maurice Agus, a 74-year-old artistic visionary obsessed with the idea of creating large-scale surreal environments, and this was his magnum opus. The structure was inflatable, akin to a massive bounce house, and once inside, guests were confronted with a labyrinth of brightly colored walls and cells, twisting and turning into some sort of surreal maze that patrons were told to lose themselves in. This piece of art premiered back in 2004, and due to its inflatability, it was actually built to travel, making stops in major cities in the UK, before it was eventually set up at Riverside Park in Durham on the 22nd of June, 2006. The very next day, 68-year-old Elizabeth Collings would visit the area with her husband and her daughter, as well as her 14-year-old grandson. And spotting this unusual structure in the distance, Elizabeth's grandson insisted on checking it out, excitedly taking off his shoes and running inside. And while the rest of the group was more apprehensive about entering, Elizabeth eventually decided to accompany him, leaving her husband and daughter on the outside, though not before turning back to them and joking that she was going in to find peace and serenity. Outside, Elizabeth's husband and daughter sat at a nearby table and enjoyed a cup of tea whilst conversing about the events of the week, only for the man to turn his head and notice that Dream Space was slightly moving, to which he excitedly said, "Oh, it's a ride, I wish I had gone on it." The daughter then turned her head to see the structure as it began to rise up off the ground, to which she chillingly responded, "It's not a ride."
What the fuck? Oh my god. Oh my gosh, you guys saw the dude in the right, bro? Oh my god.
In that moment, Dream Space had snapped from its moorings and was blown into the air by a massive gust of wind. Agus just so happened to be standing at the entrance as it began to shift, and noticing what was happening, he grabbed on as he desperately tried to hold down his entire life's work, though clearly this was of no use, and after being lifted in the air, his grip failed, sending him falling back to the ground below, where he lay staring up at his creation that was now flying 30 feet above him.
That shit's a death trap.
Inside, there were as many as 30 people
I fucking knew it. I was about to say, imagine if you were in there, what the fuck would you do?
who were now being thrashed around this giant inflatable structure in a scene that I truly can't even imagine. The claustrophobia of it, the dizzying colors, the screams. It's genuinely one of the most horrific scenarios I've ever heard. The inflatable structure was airborne for well over a minute, folding into itself before finally crashing back down into a parking lot, leaving behind what was described by witnesses as a field of bodies. Worst of all, the majority of those in attendance were families with small children, with one 7-year-old girl recounting her experience, saying, "It was very scary and people were screaming. I saw a lady clinging on and then falling out, and then she was lying on her back with people around her. I think she died." This lady was most likely 68-year-old Elizabeth Collings, who had been ejected from the structure when it was in the air, with her injuries being catastrophic and unsurvivable. Of all the others now sprawled throughout this field of grass, most were left injured but thankfully not in serious condition, though this wasn't the case for 38.
That is fucked. Bro, she was hanging on for her dear fucking life in the shit. She fell out, bro. Oh no.
Claire from Edge, who had been inside during the accident with her 2 children, and despite her kids surviving, she was sadly not so lucky, with Claire and Elizabeth being the sole fatalities of the incident.
Damn, 2 kids lost their mom
The video
and
is
somebody
terrifying. And though it's easy
lost their fucking grandma.
to say that this
This
could have
shit's
been so much
fucked
worse,
up,
considering
bro.
how many people were in Dream
That
Space
shit
at
was
the time,
Devil's
the
Playground,
consequences
bro.
were still catastrophic, as it devastated 2 families and likely left many others at the scene traumatized for life, especially the young children.
That's sad.
But how could this have happened? Well, that day was particularly warm, which likely caused the air inside the structure to expand, causing a hot air balloon-like effect, which was then exacerbated by sudden strong gusts of wind, which eventually caused the structure to go airborne, as in the end, it just wasn't properly secured for the conditions. Soon after the incident, Maurice Agus was arrested for manslaughter, though he would ultimately only end up paying a small fine, as he vowed to never create a large work again. Just a few years later in 2009, Maurice Agus would pass away, with his legacy forever being defined by this devastating footage.
Defined as a death trap is what that is. Chapter 3. The Elaine Campione tape.
On October 2nd, 2006,
Campione.
police entered the home of 31-year-old Elaine Campione, where inside they found the woman speaking incoherently. Next to her was a VHS camera, depicting a series of disturbing events that had transpired within the home over the previous months and days, with the footage eventually finding its way onto YouTube.
Hi Serena, it's August 8th, 2006. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you.
The tape starts with Elaine pointing her new camera at her daughter Serena. It was her 3rd birthday, and to celebrate, Elaine had left a brand new bike in the living room.
What is it?
It's a bike.
Days later, the footage continues, showing Serena once again as Elaine asks,
How does Mama love you?
This much.
Oh, I love you more than that. How much does Mama love you?
Elaine then shows her other daughter Sophia, who was just a baby, before turning the camera on herself and showing the kids how the device worked.
Hi. See how the camcorder works? Look.
Yeah, it's a virus.
Look. Hi. Is that Mommy? Hi.
So far, the footage seems like nothing more than your standard family home videotape, and appears completely wholesome. Though with the next recording, the tone begins to shift, and things start to become slightly concerning.
This is a deplorable, horrible, messy, filthy apartment that supposedly
Yo, how's that filthy, gang? I'm about to crash
my
out.
2 children and I live in, and it's just a horrible, horrible mess.
How?
I think Diego Campione is totally in the wrong, and I hope he burns in hell for all his sins, the same as Leonardo.
As Elaine shows the camera her home, she begins joking about how they are living in deplorable conditions, before randomly calling out 2 men who she says she hopes burn in hell, all while her children are in the same room.
She said Diego Campione and fucking Leonardo.
She starts to grow more and more agitated.
All I wanted to do was take care of my 2 little girls and live happily ever after.
Is she a fucked?
Physical, emotional, and mental abuse that I endured.
I'm about to censor
tremendously
that.
by
I'm
Leonardo Campione, and then the past year from Anna and Diego Campione, the mental and emotional abuse.
Outright saying that she was abused by a man named Leonard Campione, who happened to be her ex-husband and the father of these children. And she goes on from there, with each moment clearly making the kids more and more anxious.
And I want justice
Mommy,
to my
Mommy.
family for what they have done to us. I cried out for help.
No.
They should have charged him for the assaults he did to me.
Eventually causing Elaine to snap out of it and stop the camera.
And my poor 3-year-old, I did everything to protect. And what are you saying, Sophia? What do you want?
The video then skips forward once more, with this footage being taken just days before the police were called, showing Serena coloring on the floor as Elaine asks,
Who loves ya?
Mommy.
Who loves you the most? That much? Oh, I think I love you more than that.
The scene that unfolds next was recorded on that very same night, just hours later.
Recording this because Leo and there. Are you happy? Everything's gone.
Don't tell me she killed the kids, bro. If she did, she's a disgusting fucking human being. I spit on you.
You wouldn't give peace. You wouldn't tell the truth. You didn't care about our babies. You didn't care about me. You care about yourself.
Yo, don't tell me she killed the kids, bro.
In the video, Elaine states that everything is gone, as she speaks to Leo directly, accusing him of having ruined their lives.
Dude, anything that, like, it has to do with kids, like, for example, weirdo, sexual predator, fucked up, they gotta die. Fucking, this type of shit. Oh, you're on the list too. I'm killing. Like,
Constant abuse.
like baby killers and all those fools, they gotta die. All of them.
I hate you. 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 And I want you to know how much I hate you.
Disturbingly, the children were nowhere to be seen in this footage, with Elaine eventually addressing them by saying,
God believes me. And God's taking care of them now. You're protected by God. Thank God. And thank Him. Because there's no way I could have them with you. Nothing's good enough for you. It has to always be your way. Well, they're good. And you can have it your way. Your wife and your daughters are dead now. We're all in heaven.
According to Elaine, not only were her children gone, but she was too. She stops the recording soon after. Despite saying this, the camera would actually start up one more time, where Elaine describes how she was still alive, despite having attempted to OD, which prompted her to call the police. When officers arrived at the home, both Serena and Sophia were found laying in her mother's bed, holding hands, and wrapped tightly in rosaries. Neither of them were alive. 2 nights prior, and directly before filming this message, Elaine had brought them both into the bathroom, as it was time for their nightly baths. And once in the tub, she told them to play a game, one where they would place their heads beneath the water and blow out bubbles. When they did this, Elaine held their heads down, and she didn't let go until she was certain they were gone. This footage is some of the most disturbing that I've ever seen, as we get a glimpse into Elaine's descent into madness, in the moments directly before she stole her children's lives. But all of this leaves one obvious question. Why? Well, it was noted during her investigation that the abuse she alleged from her ex-husband Leo seemed to be very real and well documented over the years, leading to Leo not being able to see his children for over a year, with this causing the two to separate, which is when Elaine's mind began to deteriorate. She began believing that people were following her and were going to kill her, with this fear of people eventually shifting to a fear of aliens.
I know a person that's been through like abuse and shit, and she's a girl, of course, and that shit's fucked because it fucks their heads, bro, like really bad. Like she started like one time, like we're just kicking in, like in like a fucking fast food restaurant. It was a McDonald's. And we were just kicking it at like the kids playground shit. This is when like I was like 15 and shit. She was getting abused by her dad, and she went to the fucking prison for kids, the juvenile detention center, I think it's called, because she stabbed her dad in the leg 5 times. I mean,
as she claimed to have seen them on numerous
he kept touching her, bro. That's what he gets. Fucking
occasions,
dickhead.
believing they were following her. Because of this fear, she refused to let her children out of her sight, not even
fucking
allowing her own
weirdo.
parents to look after them, causing her to become so attached to these children that she genuinely began to believe that they were all one entity, which made things incredibly concerning when she became suicidal and eventually attempted to take her own life. Despite Leo's more than troubled history, he had supposedly turned his life around in the years leading to this footage, and was eventually allowed to start visiting the children on a limited capacity. And seeing the children and seeing the way their mother was behaving, he began to grow incredibly concerned, and eventually attempted to gain full custody. And it was this bitter custody battle that seemed to be the ultimate factor that led to Elaine ending the lives of her children.
God's taking care of them now. You're protected by God. Thank God. Thank you.
Grandma's
Because there's
fucking
no way
naked.
I could have it with you.
Elaine Campione would be charged
Relax.
with 2 counts of murder and would eventually be sentenced to life in prison, with a possibility of parole after 25 years. Today,
No.
she's held in a minimum security prison.
With the possibility of parole in 25 years, don't give her parole. What the fuck? She killed her kids. Let her
where she's
die in
legally
there.
once
Let
every
her
weekend
rot
to
her
attend
ass in
church
there.
and other functions.
Her fucking rot. There's a lot more information on this case that I had to cut it due to time constraints. I'll link some deep dive videos below for those who wanting more context. Chapter 4. Gavin Collins Road Rage.
On April 18, 2010, a 39-year-old man named Gavin Collins was released from the HMP Ranby prison in the UK. His freedom would last less than 24 hours, as the very next day he suffered a severe mental breakdown, the result of which was captured partially across several video recordings that later appeared on YouTube. This is the story of his rampage. It began at approximately 9 a.m. in the city of Nottinghamshire when Gavin left his home. As he walked down the sidewalk, those in the area reported him acting strangely, muttering to himself that he was
The buildings
Jesus
look cool,
and that he
what the
was
fuck?
invincible. Without warning, he then turned his attention to a random home, which he forcefully entered, stole a man's car keys, and took his vehicle, taking off with no apparent destination. Inside the car, the owner just so happened to have 2 cameras, one being a standard dash cam and the other facing inside the vehicle, giving us a look at Gavin and his apparent mental state.
It's me. Jesus Christ! I'll shut you up with the eyesight I've got. Hey, don't need this. Come on, let's go, bro. So, get rid of all the crap pairs. Let's go! Let's go!
Just at a glance, it's obvious that Gavin is completely unhinged. For some reason, he was utterly filled with rage, ripping off the rearview mirror and yelling obscenities and incomprehensible threats at no one in particular.
I'm enraged! I'm Jesus! I'm descendant of God! And you lock me up! Watch this! You
And most concerning of all is the speed in which he's traveling, as he starts driving faster and faster,
That motherfucker's unhinged for real.
swerving in and out of cars as he passes
I stayed quiet the whole fucking time because that motherfucker's crazy.
through busy residential areas, as he reaches speeds that have been estimated to be anywhere from 85 miles an hour to well over 120.
watch this now! I'm getting stronger and stronger by the second! Woo-hoo!
But somehow, despite countless close calls, every time he avoids collision, at least for the time being. In an instant, Gavin smashes the vehicle into a brick
Look
home
at
at
his
full
head is
speed,
right there.
with the impact being devastating. And yet somehow, through the destruction, Gavin was not only still alive, but completely unharmed, and also completely unfazed. He pulled himself from the wreckage and immediately turned his
How?
attention to a woman driving nearby,
How?
and within moments he had
How was
forced
he
his way into
still
the vehicle
alive?
and was behind the wheel once again, continuing this deranged driving spree, until once again he crashed. And much like the initial collision, he survived, walking away unscathed before turning his attention to another random home.
Are we fucking serious? And we're just gonna let the guy keep doing the same shit over and over again until he kills himself? I'm gonna have to censor that shit now. Fuck.
In pursuit of stealing his third vehicle, he grabbed a nearby concrete slab and began to smash through the home's doors, bloodying his hand in the process, before eventually making entry. Inside were a mother and her 2 children, one of which was 5 years old, and the other wasn't even a year. Gavin approached the terrified family, yelling and demanding that the mother give up her car keys, telling her that he was Jesus and that, "Because I am Jesus, I will kill you if you don't give me the keys." And without hesitation, she did as he said. Gavin then went to each member of the family, and with his injured hand, he drew crosses on their forehead, out of his own blood, before taking off with his third stolen car.
That's...
Once again, Gavin was driving manically, though this time he was even more reckless, crashing into a brick wall and then a cop car, before setting his sights on a pedestrian. While speeding through a neighborhood, Gavin would see a man standing innocently near a bus stop, and for whatever reason, the sight of this man enraged him, causing Gavin to slam on the brakes and reverse the vehicle, stepping on the gas as hard as he could, and crashing directly into him, leaving him lying there with devastating injuries. Gavin quickly exited the vehicle and found the man lying motionless on the ground, prompting him to shout, "I've killed him. I've killed the devil." Minutes
What?
later, Gavin would crash yet another car.
Oh
into
yeah,
yet
this
another home.
motherfucker has to have schizophrenia or some shit,
Though
bro.
this time, the police weren't far behind.
Dude, how the fuck is he outside? Like, how do y'all let this motherfucker walk?
This way. I'll get him out. I'll get him out.
Oh no!
Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Do not move! Do not move! Get it up! Get him down!
Finally bringing his disturbed driving spree to an end. The man that Gavin had struck was 87-year-old Terry Radford, a retired teacher whose injuries were catastrophic, with the man passing away soon after. According to his family, Terry was an incredible grandfather, father, and son.
These fucking videos
The
just
footage is
fuck your head,
genuinely
dude.
horrifying, but what's most shocking of all is the fact that any of this was even allowed to happen.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. And then how the fuck, why would he walk into a house and do this with his own blood?
As stated
That's
previously,
fucked.
this was Gavin's very first day out of prison, and based on the behavior he exhibited whilst in prison, he really should have never been released. Gavin was granted an early release in March of 2019 for charges based around burglary, but just as he was set to be freed, it was discovered that he had submitted an adulterated drug test, which caused his case to be re-examined and resulted in his release being postponed. In response, Gavin lost his mind. Later that month, he assaulted a prison guard before spraying him with an unknown liquid that contained bleach, before proceeding to set his cell on fire and attacking another officer with a piece of wood. Due to his actions, Gavin was placed into an isolated cell, where less than a week later he started yet another fire, and when an officer entered his cell to put it out, Gavin struck them in the head and pulled out a plastic knife, threatening to slash him, stating that it would be a thrill to kill him. Gavin's stay in prison clearly hadn't rehabilitated him. In fact, it seemed to have made him more violent than ever before, and more mentally disturbed. Though shockingly, despite all of these additional crimes, Colin's release would go on to be approved less than 2 weeks later, with Gavin being set free on April 18th.
Oh yeah.
And within just 24 hours, Terry Radford
Take this dickhead to Alcatraz and there's no shot.
was killed. Gavin was sentenced to 21 years in prison, and during his trial, it was revealed that no drugs were found in his system.
Fucking
And instead, this
manic.
all seemed to be the result of some sort of psychotic episode that just so happened to be captured on camera in one of YouTube's darkest videos.
I guess that's the end. Well, let me full screen so I can get the full scoop. First and fucking foremost, that last one, insane. But the baby killer, fuck you. But yeah, I hope you guys and girls enjoyed this video. If you guys and girls did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, please Falcon punch that bell icon in the mouth from you so you guys can get a notification on when I upload a new video. And as always, I love y'all and stay motherfucking wicked. Peace out. See ya tomorrow. The poll is up right now.